I was mid-pour, coffee swirling into my mug, when I heard the knock, 2 sharp raps, then silence. It was 9:17 a.m., I know because I had just glanced at my watch. Everything had felt still, normal, almost boring, until I opened the door and found a man in a dark suit, sweat on his brow despite the crisp autumn air. "Mr. Langford?" he asked, gripping a briefcase like a lifeline. "Yes," I answered. He cleared his throat. "I'm here regarding a civil matter. You've been served. Your wife is filing a $7 million lawsuit against you." I didn't blink. I didn't even release the doorknob. I spoke plainly. "My wife passed away 2 years ago." He hesitated, a chuckle slipping out like a reflex, unsure if I was joking. But I wasn't. My expression didn't shift. I'm sorry, sir. There must be some mix-up." "Come in," I said, stepping aside. And that's where it all began. The unraveling of a lie I thought had ended with ashes and a signature. Mara and I were married for 15 years. In the beginning, I adored her. Truly. She was magnetic, sharp, alluring, and possessed a charm that drew people in, even as something colder lingered behind her eyes. I thought I understood her better than anyone. I see now, I was simply the most convenient fool in her act. Together, we built everything, my law firm, her gallery. She never cared for my cases, but she loved the lifestyle, the connections. She was the poised partner to my behind-the-scenes grind. Then the diagnosis came. Cancer. She faded quietly, claimed she didn't want a funeral, only cremation. No ceremony. Just me, her ashes, and a goodbye. I honored her wish. Or so I thought. The first red flag was a transaction. $1,900 pulled from a joint account I had closed after her death. At least I thought I had. Then came the scent. Chanel No. 5, faint but unmistakable, clinging to a tie I hadn't touched since her memorial. The final crack came with that man at my door, holding a lawsuit signed by someone who was supposedly 6 feet under. Grief turned to suspicion. I started digging. I reviewed every document. Death certificate, hospital files, banking records. Something felt wrong. Her cremation had been arranged through a small, private outfit. I remembered the man in charge, greasy smile, cheap shoes, cash only. I returned to the address. It was gone. The entire place vanished like it had never existed. I went further. Hospital footage, admission logs. No trace of her under any name, not even her maiden one. It was like she disappeared weeks before her death. And I'd been too blinded to notice that nothing added up. I reached out to a former client of mine, an ex-CIA operative who owed me a favor. Within a week he handed me proof. 6 days before her death, Mara Langford boarded a flight to Argentina with Patrick Voss. I knew that name. He used to be my junior associate, the same man I fired for embezzling client funds. The same man Mara once begged me to forgive. I'd listened to her back then. Now I understood why. Revenge isn't about anger. It's about precision. First, I secured every financial opening she might exploit. Then I followed the paper trail of shell companies that had been masking lawsuit money transfers. They all led to a P.O. box in Buenos Aires, registered under fake companies named Luna and Soul Enterprises. Nicknames she and I once used jokingly. I laughed when I saw that. Next, I hired a forensic accountant. Didn't tell him the story, just gave him names, numbers. When he was done, I had everything. A full breakdown of wire fraud, identity theft, and fake insurance claims so elaborate it could have been a streaming docuseries. Then came my move. I filed a criminal suit. Wire fraud, false death declaration, stolen identity. Every piece of evidence attached. Flight manifests. Account histories. Surveillance stills. I handed it off to a trusted lawyer, who passed it to the U.S. Attorney's Office. But I wasn't done. 2 weeks later, I flew to Argentina myself. Quietly. Alone. I waited near a gallery I believed she had opened under an alias. Same art style, same lighting. Then I saw her. Alive. Smiling. Holding Patrick's hand. Around her neck was the necklace I'd given her on our 10th anniversary. I snapped a photo and left. No scene. No words. Not yet. 3 days later, their apartment was raided. Interpol red notice. U.S. charges. Argentine police moved fast. 7 federal charges. No bail. High flight risk. I watched the footage online. Mara looked older, worn. Her sparkle was gone. Patrick sobbed as they cuffed him. Mara didn't speak. Didn't even look up. She didn't know I was standing in the crowd, wearing sunglasses, close enough to hear the clink of metal on her wrists. Back home a week later, the same lawyer who served me called again. He was apologetic, said he had no clue he was being used to deliver a forged lawsuit. I told him not to worry. I'd resolved it. Eventually, they both pleaded guilty. Patrick cracked first. Told everything. Mara resisted longer, pride maybe. But it was useless. The records, the images, the money trails, they painted the truth too clearly. Everything they thought they could steal was reclaimed. The $7 million she tried to sue for? Frozen, seized, and now being slowly paid back through prison wages. I still have the last letter she wrote me. The real one. She said life had become too heavy. Said she was tired. She didn't mention running away with my money, my trust, and a man I once mentored. But I see between the lines now. I always do. No, I'm not bitter. I don't drink myself into numbness. I don't scream at the walls. I plan. Justice doesn't always wear a badge or swing a gavel. Sometimes justice is quieter. Sometimes it's watching a woman who faked her death sit behind bars while the man she tried to ruin walks away taller, steadier, and untouched. I didn't bury my wife. I buried the illusion of her. And I left her to suffocate in the lie she built. That's closure. That's justice.